next presenter is Jim Huff. Jim Huff is a 1973 graduate of Three Rivers High School. Following graduation, Jim earned a Bachelor of Science in Animal Science from Texas A&M University, a Bachelor of Arts in Public Justice from St. Mary's University, and worked toward master's degree in Criminology Administration from Sam Houston State University. His work career includes courtroom support for the Bexar County District Clerk Criminal Division, a patrol sergeant for the University Police Department in College Station, and a patrol deputy for the Nueces County Sheriff's Department, and later the Live Oak County Sheriff's Department. But what Huff is best known for is his tenure as Live Oak County Judge from 1987 to 2022. According to Huff, as of January 1st, 2023, this is his words, I am the second longest serving county judge in Texas with 36 continuous years. The longest serving just ran for re-election and was sworn in January 1st, starting his 37th year. So he was tied up until January 1st. Texas Representative Ryan Guillen honored Huff with a resolution in February of this year expressing high regard for his service on the bench. Huff's professional and community involvement has long been and continues to be substantial. And y'all, there's 3 pages of it. I'll just tell you, he's been an asset to the community, to South Texas, in all kinds of organizations and functions. Board member for the 36th Judicial Juvenile Probation, chairman of the Dispute Resolution Services, member and past chairman of the Coastal Bend Council of Governments, and on and on. He has received much recognition and many awards throughout his career, including the Texas Criminal Defense Lawyers Association 2017 Senator Rodney Ellis Award for Courtroom Excellence, Texas Indigent Defense Commission, Texas Gideon Recognition Award to Beeville, Live Oak County, and McMullen counties for the first regional approach to indigent, I'm tongue-tied tonight, sorry y'all, indigent defense, creating a 3-county public defender's office. He was named Citizen of the Year in George West, in Three Rivers, and the George West Lions Club, and on and on. I'd be standing here all night talking about how wonderful this man is.
Thank you.
And it's Jim and his wife, Derry Lynn, make their home in Three Rivers and have 4 children. Justin, Terry, and family of Castle Rock, Colorado. Ryan, Terry, and family of Spring, Texas. Weston Huff of Tucson, Arizona. And Ashlyn Huff of College Station, Texas. Please welcome Jim Huff.
You're welcome. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I usually start out with saying, I'm from the government, I'm here to help you. But I'll let that go tonight. And you know, if we talk about Dobie Dichos, that's one of the ways we can hang our hats as far as being from Live Oak County. I also think somebody that should be there as well to hang our hat with her name is Margaret Campbell and the group that put this on tonight. It's early in the night. Let's give them a round of applause. I don't know how many, you know, it sounds like I'm of average intelligence, but I don't know how many of you could see a while ago, I couldn't find the way to turn the lamp on right here. If y'all were watching, we were trying to turn them on. But anyway, you know, we all love South Texas. We all have heard about Sincajo or Sincaja, meaning without box or without coffin. It's a landmark in South Texas. I just love South Texas, and that's one of the reasons why I love J. Frank Dobie. One of my favorite stories of his is from his book, Coronado's Children, Lost Mines and Treasures of the Southwest. And one of my favorite chapters is called The Rock Pens. As Dobie writes, in the mid-1800s, a group of men from Texas made a daring trip to a small town in Mexico and raided the town and local silver mine. They were able to gain enough silver to require 30 mules to carry the load. It is thought this also means that they had 30 or maybe 31 carts of silver bullion. Making the trek north of San Antonio, just within the sights of the Nueces River in McMullen County, they spotted trouble. They were being followed by Indians, and Mexicans, and knew that a fight for the silver was just about to happen. In order to protect their bounty, they buried the silver and quickly put together, using native rock, 2 sets of pens. The rock walls were not built very high. They were made to look like pens for sheep, which was common stock in the area at that time. They covered the area with tracks from their mules to try to hide the soil disturbed from the digging. It is told the fight did not last very long. The Texas bandits met their defeat, except for one survivor who lived to tell the story, and his name is Daniel Dunham. It's not known why Dunham never went back to get the goods, but on his deathbed, he wrote a waybill describing where the silver, in fact, was buried. Dunham was friend of a Live Oak County resident named Matt Kivelin. Kivelin believed in the veracity of his friend Daniel Dunham. However, Kivelin had held an aversion to following the directions back to where it was buried. Other maps to the rock pens had been circulated even before the Kivelin document came into circulation. The Kivelin waybill was thought to describe the location on being at the later established Henry Shiner Ranch, a more than 40,000 acre plot in McMullen County. The location was also to be near an old road that crossed the Nueces River. And I quote, "The country was hilly, densely thorned, and without springs of any kind. Many a tale tells of early day travelers perishing of thirst in this drought-stricken land until the advent of the automobile. So far, those who have actively looked for the rock pens have not found them. However, they were cited time and time again by many who were innocently in the area and noticed them. Later, after being enlightened to the story, they were never able to go back and find them." Dobie writes that along about 1866, Pate McNeil and his new bride left Dogtown, now Tilden, on their way to their home in Legardo. They were in a buggy and leading a horse somewhere in the Shiner country. Pate spotted a maverick heifer. He roped and branded the heifer, and after he did, he noticed that he was in some kind of rock pens when he caught her. The walls of the pens were low and broken. Years later, after Mr. Kivelin died, the waybill became the talk. Pate McNeil tried to go back to where he remembers seeing the rock pens, but the country had changed too much. Pete Staples, a trail cook, and McMullen County Judge Marcellus Lowe were turkey hunting when they came upon a set of rock pens. They described them as being made of natural rock, low to the ground, and now scattered. Years later, Judge Lowe tried in vain to find the pens. He might have been successful, but Pete Staples wanted nothing to do with it. Pete said he could find the pens, but he didn't want anything to do with money that some dead man had buried. As Pete said, when the man comes along for whom it is meant, he will just naturally find it without even trying. Nevertheless, some people are still trying. In a conversation with Mary Margaret Campbell a few years back, I told Mary Margaret of the interest that I had in the rock pens chapter of Coronado's Children. In the 1940s, my family bought the jack pasture of the Shiner Ranch when it was sold. Near our old ranch house, there was a filled-in set of rock pens, and you can still see the outcroppings. There was a shallow, walled-up water well as well, which got water from the Nueces, which at that time was very close to the pens. And you may be aware, and many, many years ago, the Nueces followed a little bit different path than it does today. At the age of probably 5 years old, and my sister, my dad, and I were at the ranch. Lo and behold, a small airplane, probably one of the first airplanes I had ever seen up close, landed in our pasture. Two people got out and identified themselves as being from New York. They said they'd done much research on the rock pins and buried bullion and wanted to come out and dig. After a conversation with my dad, they took off. We didn't hear from them again. I have no idea what my dad told them, I guess. In the late 60s, a local man from Live Oak County was at the ranch in the area of the rock pins with a metal detector. He swore his metal detector pinged out in a certain area that we think to be the pins. He had a very small dozer and dug down until his dozer could go no further. And I remember him calculating how much will silver or gold or some heavy metal actually, how much will it drop during a year, over 5 years? How much does it settle? In his diggings, we did find small mule shoes, some Spanish spurs, broken pottery, and what was thought to be human bones. And I guess I'll sum this up all in all in saying I agree with trail cook Pete Staples. When the man comes along for whom it was meant, he will just naturally find it without trying. Thank you. Thank you.
See why I wanted him on this stage tonight? Is that cool or what? I told him, when he was talking about that conversation, I told him right then, I said, okay, when you're not a judge anymore, you're going to be on the Dobie Dichos stage. Yeah. And he said, okay, I will. And so I had to remind him of that, and he said, I know, you told me, I said I would. So here he is. So, yes. Yay.
Yes, thank you.
So, based on what he just told us about the plane landing from New York and all these people coming out, I've been thinking about this. You know, readers of stories, especially lost treasure stories, they probably never consider how the stories affect the landowners. And so, here are some examples, but how do you feel about those rock pins being on your property?
Can you tell she was a teacher? That's a tough question. Okay. You know, when you think about it, land has its own history. And if we dwell into it, if we look around, if we do some research, it's going to have a story to tell. Just like this beautiful structure in Historic Oakville, where Live Oak County actually began. So I think if we do some of our own homework, we're going to find footprints that tell a story. And they're going to tell a story of not only how it was back then, but they may give us a little bit more of a sense of responsibility in the footprints that we leave, and someday people will look back at.
Well, and that brings me right into another question I was going to ask you. In the opening paragraph of the chapter entitled Down the Nueces, where this story is in Coronado's Children, Dobie writes this: human tracks and human blood will not wash out of the soil, although cement may hide them. The region between the Nueces and the Rio Grande is not cemented over. Comparatively little of it ever will be cemented over. It will always be a land with a past. A land with a past. The stories, like you were just saying. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on the land with the past and continue on with that footprints of the stories?
Well, yeah, again, I think to find out, and you can use this in many senses, to find out which direction we need to lead, we need to see where we've been. And I don't look at that as only being where I've been. I look at it, where have our ancestors been? What have they done? They were remarkable people in a time that was much harder. I know we have stress now. I know there's things out there that we have no control over. But if you just look at making a trek from Tilden to Lagardo, that was quite a trip. I remember my dad talking about visiting relatives in Pearsall. And that was a trip in itself too. And then he talked about when they got a car and they would stop halfway under some tree between Threers and Pearsall and have lunch that they made and brought with them. So, you know, our times have evolved, and sometimes I think, again, to chart our own path and to make sure of who we are, we need to look back at where have our ancestors been, and many times that's very humbling to me when you look at the sacrifices that people made and thought nothing of it.
And we need to continue those stories. We need to continue handing them down and be like Dobie and gather them, preserve them. Because if we don't continue that legacy, they're going to be lost.
It will be.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we're all charged with the responsibility of passing on what we know.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jim Huff.
You're welcome.
Let's give him a big hand of applause.